Hello and welcome to all our friends in the internet community. The great thing about the REALink conversation series is that long after this conversation, well, I wouldn't say it ends, but even after the recording and the live stream of this program, the entire series will be placed on the social media platforms. So REALink LCCS 2023, the theme for this year, Ordinary People Doing the Extraordinary. And the Lutheran Community Care Services, otherwise simply known as LCCS, has created this safe space. Safe space, which is very important, and it seems, this is our fourth and final session, is one of the most important reasons why people took a step forward and volunteered their time to spend about an hour sharing their thoughts and taking your questions. So right up front, I just wanted to say a gentle reminder that for all our friends online, you can get involved by sending us your questions and your comments, and the LCCS team that is present here will read this out aloud on your behalf. And of course, for our friends who are physically present here, do not hesitate. There's a roving microphone. You just need to bring it up to you and post your questions and comments anytime. And there's no fixed time for this. If I see a hand going up anytime, or if an LCCS team member flags me, we'll take your questions and come in. But let's move on. We have a very special video that we would like to show you, a short one that will set the tone for today's conversation. Let's watch that video now. Thank you. What we just saw, a combination of text and images and music, is actually an actual case file. One of many stories that are out there in Singapore itself. A couple of words jumped at me. Hurt, the breakdown in communication, relationships broken, that channel or that gateway has been closed. And I think for me as a moderator, one of the most important words that has come up, not just in today's session, but it started even in the very first session in the REALink series, Men Hurt Too, workplace culture, communal safe net, and now we're doing Rekindle relationships, is loneliness. Some observers and writers say loneliness is one of the most painful things that can happen to any individual. Nowhere to turn to and no one to talk to, and it's truly a painful process. as a journey. It's a long journey for some people. Without further ado, I want to introduce our panel. Each one of them is going to introduce themselves. Please do mention your name, a little bit about where you are working or where you're from. And my first question is very simple. Why did you say yes and come on board to be on stage with all of us to share? Let's start with the gentleman on the other end, and we'll work our way down. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Jason. I work in Salvation Army, but spent 29.5 years inside prison. Not as a prisoner, but as a staff. Sort of came out from prison service in 2019. I'm glad to see some of my ex-colleagues here. They are seated among you. So I'm in a familiar ground. I'm with friends here. Okay, so now I'm working for Salvation Army. I used to run the Kids in Play program, which actually address issues that children struggle with, families struggle with, when mom and dad are incarcerated. But early last year, we started to do more work with the men and the women that's incarcerated themselves, because we know that when they come out, they face a lot of challenges, in which relationship is one big area. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jensen. I'm working with Prison Fellowship Singapore for 10 years. The reason why I say yes is because it's relevant to my job. I work with inmates. I work with inmates' family. I visit the inmates in the prison, and I visit them, their families outside. I always emphasize that if you families, you don't give a second chance to your loved one, who else? So for my case, I've been in and out of prison for more than 10 times. I first started to take drugs was, I think it's about 16 years old, but I was arrested at the age of 20. So when I came out from prison, every time, for the first time to the 9th time, I came out. If you were to ask me whether I want to change or not, I would tell you yes. Every time I wanted to change. But when I came out from prison, when I go into the toilet for just for about 5 minutes, my brother will all scream at me, you know. You say, oh, you see, he'll go back to his old ways. Sometimes for this kind of statement, I just go back to my old friends again. That's why I go back to now. I visited the families, the inmates' family. I tell them how to accept and how to treat the inmates. Right? Don't always just to suspect them from what they are doing. Sometimes you need to give them some time. So I think a relationship with families and the inmates is so important. That's why I say yes. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Karen. I'm a parent. My son was inside LTC for 5 years. It was never easy for me because in the beginning I couldn't sleep well. I'll wake up in the middle of the night feeling sad. But then 2 years back, he came out again and he created some problems and he went back again. So he just came out in February this year. But I'm here because I was glad that the LCCS have a circle, organized a circle with the officer inside, with the counselor, and then LCCS, they all attended all this. So that was a very good circle session because it helps to open up a bit. And my girl and I went for the circle, so we opened up to my son before he came out, how we felt when he's inside. So when he came out, we are more well prepared compared with the previous time. So I hope you all will organize more of this circle, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
And how old is your son, Karen?
He's doing good. He's getting a job. Now he's working.
How old is he, age?
He's only 21.
21, all right.
I was the one.
I wanted to just pick up a few things, and then we're going to go through another round. We'll start with Karen and work our way down. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you found it difficult to sleep, and it was a struggle as your son went in and came back out. During that time when he was incarcerated at the place that he was in, how was your communication like with your son? What was it like?
Okay, it was very sad. I couldn't sleep well, but I tell myself never give up on my boy. So twice the time you can see him every week, then followed by only can see him twice a month. I also try to go down and see him to show that we are there for him. I just want, because if we parents give up on him, who else will give him another chance? We are the closest to him. So I told him that I never give up on him. So I just keep going and going, and he felt that we really care. So I think love is very important to the kid, the support. If you, as parents, don't give them the support, how is the society going to give him the support? So I tell him, never mind, you'll try. Then he still believes in that. So he never give up. So I also never give up. So I think that's the best thing as parents.
And do you have other children?
I have another 2 kids. I have an elder girl and a younger one who is 19, and the elder one is already 25. Is into the working society.
And may I ask, how did your other children also journey with you in relationship to your son?
Okay, because my son is away for 5 years. It's never easy for my kids also. So my eldest went to the circle with me, the section, so she's able to speak up. So after that, when we came back, we said, no matter what, we have to accept him. He's part of this family. So it's a good thing. So eventually she opened up during the section, during the circle. So by then when my son is back, we are actually more adaptable to our son. And I even tell my youngest on this. So we are very open, even my husband. So I think it really helps us. So this is very good.
Thank you, Karen. So I've left it to each panelist to share with us whatever they're comfortable with. Coming to you, Jensen, picking up on what Karen shared, that it's family is important, but you mentioned a few minutes inside the toilet and everybody starts to press the alarm buttons. But if I were to turn that around, yes, a little bit of suspicion, wish there was more trust, but could that also, because is also fear, they're afraid that there will be a relapse. So that fear is also coming from that part called love. Would you agree with that as well?
Yes, I agree. Because, because I deep down in my heart, I know that why they're screaming at me, I think is because of their concern, right? So that's why nowadays, when I go into the prison, I always tell them, I say, if the first changes, the first trust that you can give it to your family members, I'm talking about the drug addicts perspective. I say, if you come out from prison, the first thing you need to do is to quit cigarette.
Say that again. The first thing you need to do is?
To quit cigarette.
Quit cigarettes.
Yes, I say if you can quit cigarette, your families will not have so much doubt that you will take drugs again. I even tell my family, because I mentioned to you just now, I've been in prison for 10 times, right? For the first to the 9th time, the first thing when I came out from prison was always look for cigarette first. But on the 10th time, I came out from prison, I didn't smoke, even to now, 14 years. I didn't smoke. I even tell my family members now, I say, if you never see me smoking, I am still safe. If one day you saw me smoking, I think you have to speak to my pastor, and I'm a Christian. Yeah. So I think, yeah, it's important. I know that the family members is so alarmed because they are concerned. But on the other hand, I had to tell the inmates what they should do so that it won't create this kind of doubt, so-called.
They always keep looking at me because I told all of them each one is about 2 to 3 minutes for their sharing. So we'll try and get as much as possible. I'm going to come over to Jason soon, but before I do that, what was the relationship like with your family, Jensen? Oh, you said you went in and out 10 times. What was it like?
Yeah, but though my family always screaming, but I know that my mother loved me a lot. Even while she was in the sick, when he was suffering from illness, I remember one day I was no money to buy drugs. I went to her room and asked for money. My mother told me that she was penniless. She got nothing to give me because all her money I already took. So she said, I insist. I said, I know you got some money. Please give it to me. So my mother said that if you want, inside the cupboard, there's a small pouch. There's some jewelry. You want, you take it. And that point of time, all I concerned was my addiction, right? I went to the wardrobe, I took out the pouch, and then I took the jewelry. Just about to leave the room, my mother said this to me. He said, he had called me, and then he said, when will you change? Do you want to wait until I die, then you change? That time, I don't even look back at her. I just go down, and then I just took the jewelry and I just pawn and feed my addiction. But for now, I just always tell the inmates that I'm working with, I say, this is my most regretful movement in my life because the one that loved me so much, I don't even have a chance to tell her that I love her because she passed on while I'm still taking drugs, while I'm still going in and out of prison. So the most regretful moments for me is my mother cannot see who I am today. So yeah, I don't even have the opportunity to hug her, to tell her, say that, Mama, I love you, or this kind of thing. So I always emphasize to the fellow inmates to say that don't make it this as your regrets also. Yeah.
Thank you, Jensen. So two phrases come out for me. Of course, that very strong question, when will you change, from Mom? And finally, in the very beginning, you also said, I want to change, right? So that movement, that trigger, and in Jensen's case was Mom, and eventually it was also a personal decision. But you also said something that struck me, your faith, your religion. And I think we have to bring this into the conversation. We are, in Singapore, a multiracial, multi-religious country, and Asia is the birthplace to all the major religions. Let's keep that in the back of our minds, and let's see where this conversation takes us. But remember, this is a safe space. Jason, I just wanted to get your thoughts. You must have seen so much in your years of your work in the prison. Everybody talks about a second chance, but what's the first step or steps that one has to take in order to really get that second chance working?
First step is to the inmates inside, the guys inside.
I mean, they always tell you, sir, don't worry, I come out, I will change, that kind of stuff. But what's the first step or series of steps?
Yeah. From my experience working in prisons as a counselor as well as in Salvation Army now, I think the first thing they must do is to make the decision to say that I want to change and this is the last time I will come in. But sadly, a lot of them, as what you just heard from Jensen, they may have make up their mind, but the moment they step out, the craving comes in. I think he knows that. The cravings comes in, they get triggers, and then oftentimes the motivation is not good enough. Whatever decision they make inside is not good enough, and they just take on the trigger, they just consume, and went back, the whole cycle start again. But I think Jensen mentioned about something which I want to pick up that they should think about. Because he says about not smoking as a first step. He talks about, if you pick up what he says, being accountable. Then who was he accountable to? He said, if the family see him smoking, he said, let my pastor know. Let my pastor know. So Jensen was accountable to someone, right, in terms of his behavior. And the first step, that the moment if he do it, he knows that he's on the slippery road, slope down, taking drugs again. So I think hearing him, after so many years, which I felt very true, very right, that if they could make not only the decision to change, they help somebody accountable. Get someone to be accountable for the behavior. For Jensen, the pastor, right? I suppose for any of the inmates coming out, the first step could be being accountable to the counselor. Because I know that a lot of the guys come out, they do have counselors, right, Jensen? So be accountable to the counselors, whoever is journeying with them, say that if you see me doing this, even a small little step towards taking drugs, let me know.
What's your take? Mother stayed with the son. Mother told him, when will you change? But what's your response to someone who's coming out and your own family has abandoned you, distanced you, you saw the case file, separation with the children and everything, and the family that Karen talked about that's so important is the one that is not working. How would you respond?
Wow. Yeah. I think a lot of cases in prisons we have that, because multiple incarceration would means chances are a lot of hurts that happen within the family, disappointment, the fact that the brother, the son has been using drugs again and again, coming in and out. So we must understand from family point of view, there's a lot of hurt, a lot of disappointment, a lot of also rejection. The guys also feel rejected. So how do you start working with them while they are still inside the prison? So I think the project Rekindle we just saw, all of you just saw, is a good way to start, to say, look here, I acknowledge there's hurt, I acknowledge there's pain in that relationship. How can I take the first step? So
are you saying that in addition to working with the prisoners or with those who come out ex-offenders, you also make an effort to reach out to the families and try to bring them into this
Yes,
conversation?
you have to.
You do?
You have to. We have to, yeah. We are doing it as well.
And you've been successful? Challenges, of course?
Yeah, we are bringing the family in, but it's also a risk, because when you bring the family in, the family also struggle, you must understand, right? They also have their side of the story to tell, and then the inmates also have. So the question is, how do they then take the risk to say that, look here, I feel the hurt, I feel the pain because you rejected us, or I feel that you were not there, when I needed you, you're not there. So I have cases like that who say, my mom called the CNB, Central Narcotic Bureau, when I was using drugs, and they just felt the hurt. So both sides, you must understand there's pain and the hurt, right? So the risk is bringing them in, but that is always the first step.
I hope all of us are hearing this, because one of the things I'm picking up, by the way, just for let you all know, none of them know what the questions are. That's the thing with Augustine. So we literally go with the flow, but we do have a destination. We have a journey map we're aiming for. But one of the things I wanted to plant in all your minds and our online audience as well is families mustn't give up, no matter how hurtful it is.
Yes. Because when the offender committed anything, parents as family members, we also having hurts, sadness. So it's never easy for us. It's all-sided. So we also have to be positive at times. I keep telling myself that I cannot give up on him. If I give up on him, what will happen to the society? What will the society? As a parents, we cannot. So we also have to balance on. It's never easy. It's really never. We hurt also. It's only not the offender. So I just want to let you all know that it's never easy, but as parents, we just cannot give up.
Thank you for that. And also what touched me earlier when you shared, Karen, was you went literally every week and every month to visit him and spend time with him?
Yeah, I do. I would make it an effort to go down to meet him, just to see him for the 20 minutes. Twice a month, I would just go down. So I would try to encourage him. And then I would let him know that I see him, I'm very happy. No matter what, you're still my son. So that's why I felt that the support must be there to let him look forward to coming out. I mean, there was a period I was also very sad because my kids, my girls, because my son is away for 5 years. So they also find a distance from him. Felt there's a distance from him. And they also say, we have no more closeness. And then it's so funny when he's back. So I just tell my kids that no matter what, your brother is your brother. You have to accept him. I say, please welcome him home. That's what I told my girls. So slowly, this time round, when I say, please welcome him home no matter what, he's still your brother. And things are different. So
What would you say to a family member out there who says, good for you, Karen, you found the words, but I cannot find the words. I don't even know what to say. As Jason mentioned, multiple hurts. The pain is so deep. What would you tell them when they say, I don't know what to say?
the love is there. You have to just use your love, never give up.
So just going there and just spending time with the person is already is a help in itself.
You will transmit to him, he will feel it. I believe in that, so that's what I did. I
Thank
tell
you for that.
myself, my son will feel my love for him, no matter what.
Jensen, I also want to pose that same question to you. What if you met another ex-offender who's struggling, as you said, you had your ups and downs? What would you say to them to say you have to make that change? In your case, there were many triggers that led you to where you are today. But what would you say to the other person out there?
The prisoners?
Yeah. Those who are in prison and those who have already
Yeah,
come out.
those who are multi-timer, right? Usually I'll tell them, I say, maybe this time round, just don't go back straight to your home. Just go to somewhere else, go to halfway house to equip yourself, to prove about 1 or 2 years, and then your family will see a difference in you. The very fact that you don't smoke, your family say that this is a miracle, you know. Because drug addicts, usually they smoke. The first thing they come out. I say, if you don't smoke for 3 months, your family already saw the changes in you, right? And the way that you talk is also very important. Yeah, just for imagine, I usually tell the families of the inmates' family, I say, if my family don't give me chance, I don't know where I am today also, no?
And when you say family, you're talking about your own spouse and your...
No, my own, I just recently gotten married.
All right.
So I have 6 siblings. I mean, they are all always screaming at me, always telling me about, always have this kind of doubt in me that I would not change, you know. But deep in their heart, I know that they concern me, they love me. And they just want to see that one day I can be a normal person. Yeah. So I always tell them, I say, if the families, if our family members don't give us the chance, if for my case, if my family don't give me the chance, I don't know where I am today, you know. My recovery is
precarious, right? It's precarious because it is hinged on, first of all, your immediate family.
Yes.
All right.
But there are cases where they don't have family members. So where are the families? That's for the...
Yeah, that's the question I'm going to put to Jason. But before I go to Jason, would you consider, if I had to force you to think of one word, would you consider yourself now strong? Are you strong now?
Yes, I am strong. Yeah.
And what is what puts you in that position?
I think my faith, I strong because the God, the one that I believe is strong. Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a force up there that is guiding you and
Yes, and
journeying with you.
And the other thing is also habits, right? You are going on the right track. You will become, you will hate the things that you loved before. You see, last time when I see drugs, I love. Now I see that it's like a poison to me. Right? I don't. It's like it's like you will have a different perspective. Yeah.
Jason, you want to pick up on those points? I mean, from your perspective, we keep hearing the role of family as being important, but I also wanted to broaden that to bring in society at large. I mean, let's be realistic here. The challenges and the vices are still out there. The authorities are doing their best to keep the city and the country safe, and I'm sure that's the same all over the world. There are good, hardworking people who are doing this day in and day out to protect society, to protect people. But what is the role of society? What more should society do?
Well, I think I think most of you know, about 20 years ago, I think, prison started this project called Yellow Ribbon Project, right? YRP. And the whole idea of the Yellow Ribbon Project is to get the community to actually accept them back, particularly even not only the family, but the employers, because we know that when they come out, they will struggle with the second prison. They use the word second prison because people may not give them a chance to change. People may not still think that they are like that, not giving them the trust as well. So the Yellow Ribbon Project was served for that purpose, to open up so that community would accept them back. But I think largely, even that, I believe for so-called ex-offenders who are out in the community, I think they need to be a specific group of people. Because people are very relational. I think Jensen talked about that. His faith, I think he may not know, along with that faith that he embraced, there is a community that is with him. His church, even Prison Fellowship Singapore, is a community that he works in. So the whole community wraps around the person, providing the support from relationship point of view. So in the event, as what you highlight, Augustine, if they don't have a family, what's the role of the community? Provide that kind of relationship that they have, but keep it down to a specific group. They still need to go to a specific group to get the kind of support, to get the kind of meaning and purpose in life. And it happens that the faith community have that kind of element. So.
Yeah, so there are faith communities, there are NGOs, of course the beautiful work that is ongoing by the Yellow Ribbon Project. So for those of you who happen to stumble on this video, and if you have friends, the great thing is you can send them the link to this video and they can watch it in their own time. You are never alone. For here, you could say, oh, well, they got family, they got loved ones who visited them, never gave up on them. But I'm alone. If we keep on playing that same, I call it cassette tape. I mean, I know we've gone digital. If you keep playing on that same tape, that also doesn't help. But if the first step is you want to seek help, there is a circle, there's a Yellow Ribbon Project, and I'm so tempted I must read these words. I'm coming home, I've done my time. You know what I'm going to say, right? Now I've got to know what is and isn't mine. If you receive my letter telling you I'd soon be free, then you'll know just what to do. If you still want me, tie a yellow ribbon round the old oak tree. I'm sorry, I was not going to sing today, but that's one of my favorite songs. I still believe this is so important, right? And I want to come back to Jensen this time, and of course, please, Karen and Jason, jump in. How open are you if you just got married? So when you were dating and you're going to meet this person, did you reveal everything? Did you open up and share everything about your past? What was it like in that journey for you?
You mean my wife?
Yes.
Oh, I met my wife in the church. The reason why I know her is because he has a brother. His brother is also an inmate. When his brother came out from prison, and I'm the one who aftercare him. So maybe my wife see the changes in me. That's why he trusts me. Yeah. So I'm just very thankful to my wife and to my mother-in-law. I always tell my mother-in-law, why you believe me? Why you will let your daughter to marry me? Weren't you worried that I will go back again, just like your son? Yeah.
Or hurt the family?
Yes. But I think this is the greater power there working in their hearts. I think, yeah.
Karen, you want to come in? Must have been tough for your son to come back home and to try to mix in with friends and integrate into society. What was the journey like?
It's never easy because, in fact, sometimes I do have doubts. Will he go back again? Will he still find? Then create problem.
Is he mixing? Is he able to mix with people, make friends?
Yeah. He's able. He didn't go back to the previous group people, but then he stayed. He went to another side to drop, and he stopped contacting them. But then I was still worried. I do, as a mom, I wouldn't deny that I never worried. But then I keep telling myself, I have to trust him, then I love him, then I just keep, I believe the universal will spread all this to him. So that's why I believe in, then I keep telling myself, and he's getting better and better. Thanks.
Beyond your own relationship, your children and your son, that circle that you referred to, what more do you feel needs to change out there in the larger society?
I really hope, just like I told you, I went for the circle. It does help me with me and my daughter, because we are more prepared when my son came out. So I hope that there will be more support giving to all these people. That's why I'm here also, because I find that the circle, that section was very good, because it helps me and my girl. We are more open, and then we are more prepared when my son is out. So that's why I'm able to say that to my youngest. He's still part of the family. We just have to welcome him back.
Thank you.
So,
I know that now is very free-flowing, and feel free to jump in, but I want to bring Jason in just to address that outside the society part. How difficult is it to get ex-offenders back into society? When I pose this question to ex-offenders, and even people who want to welcome that, the one word is difficult. I know the part of the Yellow Ribbon Project is to find employers who are prepared to journey with these people, give them a proper job, not just a charity or a token job, a really proper job that matches their skills. But can you tell us more about that, Jason?
Yeah. I think when we talk about how difficult for them to reintegrate or to change within the community, that there is two main factors that we need to consider. First one is the internal factor that is inside them. Because a lot of them struggle with the fact that they may not even have kind of, so for example, you talk about work, employment. We know that employment is a big factor, right? If they are doing well out there in terms of work, chances are they are probably managing their life well. That's a good indicator. But a lot of them, from our experience as doing counseling in prison, a lot of them come in and out of prison so frequently that they have not really hold on to a so-called legitimate job for a long stretch of time. So in short, they have not built up what we call work discipline. They also may not have have the kind of work attitude that when you go to work, certain things are expected of you, is quite normal, but they have not formed the kind of things in their mind and their attitude. So when they go to work, once they're out in the community, they go to work, for example, the supervisor just tell them off. They got upset, right? They do not know how to handle it, sort of, in a sense, amplified behavior, and then they just leave their job. So the work attitude part is important, the ability to manage work in terms of work discipline, they struggle with that.
So
right?
two things. From your perspective, do you have people? I mean, I know this is a lot to ask, because there's so many people out there, counselors or social workers or someone that the ex-offenders can talk to on a regular basis, especially for those who don't have family support. And on the employer side, also, I mean, do they also get support from organizations like yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question, because there's one big organization in Singapore, you've probably heard of Yellow Ribbon Singapore, YRSG. YRSG has a big part to play, right, to provide employment to ex-offenders who comes out.
But also to educate employers, right?
Correct. So they are moving towards that direction. In fact, the latest initiative, you may want to know, the latest initiative that YRSG is trying to do is to even upskill them. Because we know that a lot of offenders, when they come out, the work that they hold on to is a low-skill job. And a lot of that is not a motivation for them as well. Imagine if you're going to be a cleaner, you don't want to be cleaner for life, right? You want to move on, kind of social mobility, and move on to be doing something that's more of value add. So Yellow Ribbon has come out to not only work with the employer, but also get the employer to actually so-called upskill them. So there is a plan to upskill them. So I think they realize the importance of it. So Yellow Ribbon is very intentional. But there is still a lot of issue. As I said, there's internal factor, there's inside them, they struggle. The external factors is try to get the employers to be also a bit more sympathetic, more understanding. I think Jensen will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's where I want to get all of you to weigh in. I mean, let's really get cut to the chase and be frank about this. That term that you mentioned, second prison, very often, I mean, from my background as a journalist, I'm hearing conversations where they ask me to fill up the HR application form, and they ask me to declare if I, been charged, arrested by the police and all that. So the very need to declare is so painful for them, because it's like a whole reminder of like, will I ever get a true second chance? But of course, there's this big thing about laws out there, and it varies from country to country. And in some large countries, it varies from state to state, province to province. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that there's a big obstacle, if you ask me, that we need to overcome. I agree with that. But I also agree that I think we are trying to do what we can. I just want to give a kind of a story many years ago.
Please do.
Yeah, when I was doing what we call aftercare work with the young offenders. Our young offenders sentenced for a short period of time inside what you call reformative training center. They come out, and then we actually help them to reintegrate, which is a good plan. So I was one of the aftercare officers. So I have the habit of bringing my guys, I call them my guys, supervisees, to even job interview. And I brought them to one particular country club. I will not mention names, okay? I literally was there. So the guy, the supervisor, interviewed my guys in front of me. And you know what he says that really hurt me? I mean, at that point, he said this, what if I tell you, he was telling the boy, my supervisor, what if I tell you, if anything that's found lost in this place, we may think it's you? Imagine how I felt at that point, right?
They said this not just in front of you, but in front of the...
To the boy.
Yeah.
To my supervisor. So I came back. I was very upset, to be honest with all of you. I wrote an email to my boss. I have bosses in prison headquarters. I told them, this is my experience. I said, I'm pretty upset with this kind of thing. So this example too, right? There are employers or rather representatives of the employers who say things like that, who thinks like that. That may not be helpful.
They should be coming for a discussion like this.
Yeah, but that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago. I hope it's changed.
I am hopeful. I'm basically an optimist by nature, but I'm afraid it's still out there. I mean, that's lingering. Jensen, your thoughts on that? For someone who's trying to get a job and start fresh.
Yeah. Now, before the inmates released from prison, right, usually they can secure a job in the prison, right, just through the yellow ribbon. So usually I ask them, I say, you go and try the job. If your job is not successful or it's not your cup of tea, you come to PFS because the employer go through us. They don't have to ask you whether you are ex-offenders or not because they know. They know that all from recommendation from prison fellowship, they are all ex-offenders. So another way to tackle this is come to us.
So it's part of that network, yeah. And so a little bit of the pain is sort of taken away.
Yes, and we have a lot of ex-inmates now. They are bosses now. So they employ the ex-offenders and they journey with them, and even their family members. Yeah.
As a mom, I'm sure this is a concern for you when your boy wants to go back and start working and doing other things.
It's not easy, actually. Some people will say, yeah, ex-offenders. He told me that also. I say, it's never mind. The most important thing, we must be there for them, lor. So I do try to talk to him.
Is he working right now, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, he's working.
And how did that process go? I mean, was it difficult?
Yeah, he felt a bit difficult because I think internally he think he is an ex-offender. So he felt that people look at him differently. I say, don't care. You just do you try your best in whatever you do. It's never easy. That is why after he came out, we still have to be there for them, lor, to encourage them. Yeah.
So my friends, we've reached the midpoint. Surprisingly, just time always just flies by. Now would be a good time to open it up and just check with the LCCS team if there are any questions floating online. Nigel, would you like to voice it? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, there's a question from Justin. So he says that this conversation is very real and very rich right now, and from the sharing, both love and hurt are so intertwined. So how can we break the hurt cycle for ex-offenders and families?
How can we break the hurt cycle? Let's start on the other end. Jason?
I think the first step is conversation. I think how we actually invite inmates while they are still inside the prison. I think a lot of work I want to acknowledge because I got my colleagues who are still inside prison working here. I mean, they are here. But I just want to say this, having had experience both inside and outside, the conversation on healing got to start inside the prison. Because the moment they step out, we understand, the moment they step out in the community, there's so many things that they're distracted with. You got to know that, right? So many things. They want to do so many things. They want to try. They want to go. I mean, they want to meet do a lot of things. So that is not a good place to start. A good place to start on healing, opening up conversation for healing, must start inside the prison. Because they are there. They are within the four-wall prison. They are there every day, and you can capture them and get them to talk about hurts, pain. But then the thing about working in prisons, you've got to understand the issue of safety is very important. We know that working in prisons, the prisoners are also careful when they say certain things in front of another prisoner, because they don't want to be seen to be feeling weak, that people think they are weak. They have to be strong, right? I always say this to people, that prisoners want to feel strong so that they will not be bullied, may not be viewed differently by their fellow prisoners. So you need to facilitate an environment of safety before the conversation could be opened up to talk about hurts and pain. That takes a lot of work, even when you do work inside. First step.
First step.
I think Jason has answered all
All right.
I want to say. Yeah.
Okay. Karen, you want to add on?
No, I just felt that when there's love, there will be hurt, but we just have to balance out. So
Wait. I love this phrase. When there's love, there will be hurt.
yes,
Wow, you should coin that.
it's never
Sounds
easy
like a nice
to
book
find
title.
a balance, but we just have to
No.
find our balance.
Yeah, it's very true.
It's ourselves.
It's part of loving, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the real world we live in. There's going to be ups and downs between parents and children, between couples, between siblings, even among friends, right? Employers and employees, right? And all that. I have one word I just want to throw in. I mean, very often as a journalist, we get these annual reports on the recidivism. It's like always we track this. It's like I always wish, like, we look at numbers and we look at percentages and we like to put out this annual report. But the reality on the ground is that someone could be staying clean for 10 years and then there's a relapse. And there's so many triggers out there in society. What's your message to someone who was trying very hard and then failed again or fell down? Jason?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, feel free to jump in. I was just trying to go
Yeah.
through the line.
What is my one again? Sorry.
Stayed on the right path 10 years, and then after that, fell again.
Yeah.
Made a mistake,
Yeah.
and fell down.
Okay. If you talk to any recovering addicts, people, including Jensen, who has been very clean for so many years, he will tell you recovery is a daily process. Means that they need to be very vigilant every day, because at any point the trigger will come in. I think they will tell you that. To say that they are now recovered, there's no such thing. If I'm not wrong, they don't use the word recovered. They are still recovering, right? So whether they are 10 years, 20 years, they're still susceptible to the fact that the triggers will be there, then they may fall. We know of many actual stories of people who have been clean for 10 years, 20 years, and went back on drugs again. And people who are also helping the other fellow recovering addicts, they themselves fall. So we are mindful of that. But it's a daily process of keeping yourself vigilant against drug use.
Yeah, I like those words. Jensen, you want to add on anything?
For my case, I think it's the community. I think it's the people I mix with. And I always stay on guard, always reflect on myself. Am I doing better today, or am I just going back to the old ways? Yeah. But one thing I want to point out is, someone in the prison asked me, he said, "Are you sure that you will not come back to prison again?" I say, "I am sure. I'm sure, because the one that I'm depending on is always the solid rock." Yeah? And I have already tasted the best, so-called, I always joke with the prisoner. I say, I have already tasted the best nasi biryani. Why I want to go back to the kind of food again, right? I will be like a fool, right? That's why I'm so confident. So I think the confidence is not on myself. I think the higher power. Yeah, I think the community and the things that you work every day. Like, for instance, my ministry, I always tell people, I say it's not the ministry that need me, I need the ministry. I'm helping people just to remind myself that I myself cannot be disqualified of what I tell people, right? Yeah.
Before I bring Karen into the conversation, perhaps now a quick scan of the room. Anyone with any burning question or pressing concerns? Or perhaps you're even a counselor or a social worker yourself, something that you want to bring up and share with the group. We're into the home stretch, by the way. All right? All right. Anyway, Nigel, if you still have questions, let me know. Do you have any on your side?
I do have. Just wondering maybe if the floor does have other questions.
It's okay. Go ahead with your question.
All right, so this is from Vicky from online. And so she says that besides what is offered now, what kind of support can we give to encourage ex-offenders to open up, to heal, to continue this journey of recovery?
Yeah, I just want to move this discussion to another area. Can we spare a few minutes talking about serious crimes? And I'm talking serious crimes. Jason, the ball is in your court.
Serious crime as to?
Beyond just what we have discussed with drugs, which is a very serious issue, of course, but serious crimes that puts you in prison for a long period of time, and it's a totally different label.
Yeah. Something which I've also been thinking, because having worked in this circle of working offenders, ex-offenders, what need to be there, right, to actually help them? Is what the question says, something like that. And I believe it is, they need to first and foremost move out of that kind of environment. What I mean by that is, if you look at the way we do reintegration, the work with these release offenders, we have these halfway houses, we have these particular agencies that are connected to the rehab and reintegration work. And you're circulating them within that kind of community as well. And so how do you actually move them out to the larger community so that they can experience that lives can be different? And I think he alluded to that. Life can be different. And they experience that, and they say, look here, yeah, that's what I want. That's what, if I tasted the best, why do I not go back to the old ways, right? So there's one. So we're looking at how to move them out to the other community, and how can you get the other larger community to actually embrace them. One of the things which we try to do in Salvation Army is to get other agencies outside to be involved. Those agencies that have never been involved in the kind of reintegration work, but we are trying to get them in. And then the other things which we are trying to do is that we believe, I think it's already been done, getting the ex-offenders or recovering offender, the ex, to involve in doing good. Because when they do something good give back to the society, they feel very different. So can we engage them even a little bit more? And we know that we are doing
They
it,
themselves
but can we do
become
more?
ambassadors and go on the road.
Correct.
Like
Yeah.
what, Jensen, you started your own fellowship.
Yeah, in prison fellowship, we have a month. We have a few activities that the inmates are able, the ex-offenders are able to give back to the society. So that's why we encourage them to join us. I say you don't always to have this kind of low esteem, right? Yeah, sometimes people don't, sometimes whatever you think may not be other people thinking of you, Just take a step at a time. Yeah, I know it's hard. I know that you have been inside the prison for so many years. I'm talking about the serious one. Some of them, when they come out, right, they don't even know how to do it using the handphone.
Exactly. I heard that story. They don't know how to use the smartphone. They don't know what the new apps
the
are.
MRT, they don't know how, So I tell them, that's why the question posted online is, we have to give our times to journey with them. I drive, but some of the inmates, right, they are incarcerated for a long time. They don't know how to take MRT. And I just accompany them to take MRT, I go and buy a card, and then I tell them this is the station, this one can change to Circle Line or whatever. So you have to educate them.
But I like what you said about your fellowship, and you have these activities. So there's no need to be committed and be regular, but come once a month, come when you can.
Once a month. We have this so-called, they call it the 好人好事. Every first week of the Saturday, right, they will come to PFS, and then
PFS stands for Prison.
Prison Fellowship Singapore. So the whole packs, packs of the grocery will come into our premise, and then we will pack it into a small bags, a small Sheng Siong plastic bag. So there's about 28 or 27 items. So when we pack, and then we get the beneficiary to deliver to the families. So it's just like they are giving back to the society.
Okay, I'm going to come to Karen, but I'm going to plant one idea in your head earlier, Jason, so just to warn you. As a whole of government approach, what more needs to happen? I know certain ministries are very involved, and Yellow Ribbon Project is going, but you did hint, you said that other agencies should come into the conversation. I would like to hear that before we close. My friends, believe it or not, we're in the home stretch. We're in the final 10 minutes of the conversation. So if there's anything out there, put up your hand, posed the question. Nigel is standing by to bring the questions to the conversation. Anything else, Nigel, before we carry on? But I want to come back into the home stretch. I want to come back to Karen. It's very true what you said. Parents play a very important role. Siblings play a very important role. For you, what more do you believe needs to happen in that circle? What is your wish list? What else needs to happen?
We have to open up. So about feelings. So when you get to know his feelings, when he just
Not
came
easy
out.
for Asian people or, for that matter, Singaporeans
Yeah, but
to
we
do
have
this.
to. And the most important part is that you have to give him time also, because he's, although my son is only inside for 5 years, but he's very retarded because he's used to relaxed life inside. So this is the thing you have to look up on also.
He's very guarded.
Yeah, and then he's very slow in the beginning, first 2 months, when he just came out, because because we are very fast-paced. It's different, so we have to think in both ways. It's never easy for him also.
That's a very important part, right? There was a routine that they had, regimental routine where they were,
They are
when they
used
were
to
in
it.
prison. And when you come back out, people sometimes literally have no time for you or to explain things, like even to teach you how to take the train. You know, I mean, we take these things for granted,
Yes.
but someone walks up to you at the train station and asks a question. It's like, what's wrong with you, man? You're a Singaporean, you don't know how to get around. So we need to change, right? We need to have more patience.
Yeah, he was very slow, seriously, and in the beginning. It's never easy for him also, so we have to work both ways. But I'm not doing very good also, but I'm trying my best. I'm still trying. I'm still working on with it, because just never give up.
And if you ask me, I mean, if I exercise my prerogative as a moderator, I think we should have circles all over the country. Seriously. Every religious group and NGO and, you know, I can't speak for the government, but definitely we should have circles, because I believe people need to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, I really think circle is good. At least you let out a bit, and then you do let go, and then speak up, and then let each other feel how you felt.
Yeah.
So,
And when I say circles, by the way, I qualify it with professionals, people who know how to help,
yeah.
people who are trained, right? Over to Jensen and Jason. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, one of the things that Prison Fellowship very intentional doing is we always celebrate the milestone of the inmates
that's
recovery.
interesting.
Yeah, every bits of the milestone, right? We celebrate with them, even their birthday. We celebrate every month. We have every month birthday cake for everyone. Sometimes they don't. Some of them, right? They just don't celebrate their birthday outside for many years, So when you come out, you celebrate the birthday, you can see their tears in their eyes.
I saw the faces in this audience. You were close to like this close. I saw, because our opening sharing, I can almost feel it. It was in the room. You know these beautiful stories of people who have cancer, and then they come out of it and they celebrate 1 year without, relapsing into cancer. We don't take these. I mean, we see these stories. It's always kind of a distance, right? But believe me, having journeyed with some of my friends myself, this is a huge thing. I love this part. I love this, celebrating milestones. Jason?
What?
And then, of course, my wish list on what more should happen on the whole of government approach.
Okay. I think first and foremost, not because I'm an ex-civil servant, but because I think I've been observing how government has been approaching in terms of rehab, in terms of reintegration of ex-offenders. I've seen a lot of changes over the last 30, 40 years, because when I joined the prison service, it was in 1990, 1990, and now it's already 2023, right? It's 30 over years. And I saw the development of the whole prison system, prison rehab system as well, and I can tell you that's a wonderful change. I want to say this not because I'm an ex-prison staff, but I couldn't pin it down in any countries that would have rehab system like ours. The amount of resources we pump into it, and I said I have a few ex-colleagues here. I saw that change, and I must say this, my son today is working in Ministry of Home Affairs. He himself joined the service after graduating 3 years ago. He's working in the Ministry of Home Affairs, which take charge of prison. And I told him, I said, there's so many changes over the years and how we actually help the offenders in terms of rehab. And then even in the current few years, I noticed that the government is trying to focus on reintegration, because they realize that whatever amount of resources you put inside, if you don't support them outside, they will fall. And just to let you know, a lot of resources are pumped into doing what you call counseling. I think, as I said, I was a counselor, so a lot of resources have been pumped in terms of resources to counsel, to provide counseling for the guys inside. But the moment you step out, what do they need? They need support, they need structure, they also need agencies from outside to come in to work together at prison. And I saw that happening. And just a month ago, they actually start this thing called the Desisters Network. This is something new. They're getting those who has overcome their experience in aftercare, they like people like Jensen, to come alongside and journey with those now coming out of prison.
Could you repeat that word again?
Desisters Network,
Okay.
DN for short, Desisters Network.
Okay.
They launched it a month ago. I was there, and it was very encouraging. So the government is giving support for that. In fact, Ministry of State was there to grace the occasion to launch this, right? So I saw that development over the past 30, 40 years, and the resources that's been pumped into it. But I think what needs to be done in the aftercare or in the community is how do you get all these agencies that's doing aftercare support to come together so the approach is very more concerted, more intentional, and more coordinated.
Yes, that was what I was driving at, and so I'm glad you just aired it. By the way, we air a lot of things. We are not going to give you the solutions because that's not possible within 60 minutes, but certainly a great observation. Jason, just staying with you, and panel, get ready. We are definitely in the home stretch. So each of you, remember I said whatever you want to share in closing, get ready to share that. And of course, you can reiterate your key messages. But Jason, I'm just curious, for someone who is in prison, is there a difference in the journey for a man versus a woman? I just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. I think, see, for the guys, for the men when they're inside, even if you're a father, most of the child-giving role is performed by the mother, right? Usually, if guys are inside, if the wife are outside, the wife will take care of the children. But when the women are inside, who's taking care of the kids? So the caregiving role has always been a challenge for most of the ladies that's in our prison. I mean, the way I look at it now from a reintegration point of view, from someone in the community. The other issues is also the issues of relationship. A lot of the women got into prisons because of their relationship with a partner or husband who's using drugs. And their drug use is linked to that relationship, right? It's not the other way around. Most of the time, it's not the other way around when the men are inside using drugs.
I brought this and I wanted to bring this because of the research that I did. I did notice the journey is different for the women, as you rightly pointed out. Jensen, from your prison fellowship experience, in your conversations that you have for women?
I always heard by my colleagues which handle the women's, the ladies prisoner. They say that ladies are more sensitive. They are more harder to work with, especially their addictions, like what Jason said. Most of their backslide is always due to relationship. Yeah, so I think the point is, I think women, they felt shame when they came up from prison. As for the guys, I think they are not that into that. I mean, guys, they are,
No, it's okay. I mean, like I said, I just wanted to flag that in case the audience thought, it's, have you thought about women, Augustine? Have you thought about teenage girls versus Karen sharing with her son? Yes, I have. And I found some very interesting literature, which I think links back to what Jason said, work to be done. There's still a lot of work to be done. Yeah. Panel, I really wish we had a little bit more time, but we need to gently bring this to a close. I want to start on this end with Karen and work our way down. Jason, you'll have the last word. Your closing thoughts, each of you, please keep it to 2 minutes. So let's start with you, Karen.
I'm thankful to the circle section because it does open up me and my daughter with my son quite a bit. And then from there, I realized that we really have to speak up a bit. So that's where my son and my family is working better now. So that's why I'm here. I was thinking that I'm here to share that this section will really help. So I hope they will continue with all this section. And then the other thing is that I felt that is very important is that if we give up on our children, who will give them the support?
I love her. She's been consistent on this. You need to go to these circles.
Yeah.
You need to open up.
No matter
and,
what.
And have your voice.
Yes.
No need to look for solutions, but start that conversation and open up and
Yeah.
get connected.
Yes, that's about it.
Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you.
I just also want to echo what Karen has said. If sitting here or even online, if one of your loved ones is inside the prison, I would like to encourage you to be hopeful for them. For my case, I really want to thank God. If my family had to give up hope on me, I don't think that I can be sitting here talking to you. So, yeah, family is very important. I mean, for the community, right? There's a word. It needs a kampong to raise up somebody. It's just like the prisoner also. They need your support and need your understanding, your love and concern.
Well said. Jason, you have the last word.
Yeah, I think similar to what Jensen shared, I mean, you need a kampong to raise a kid. In rehab and reintegration, particularly in reintegration, it is a many-hand approach. Think you, no one person or one agencies could do that work, right? It has to be done together with other agencies to wrap around the particular person. You want to think about even the big number. How can you wrap around an individual person that comes out from the institutions and help him? It is a very intense, it is a very emotional work, but it is certainly a meaningful work, and we need every hand on deck to do this. We can't do it alone. Not even Salvation Army, which is supposed to be a global organization, but we really need to work with other agencies.
Well said. And the organization that has organized this REALink conversation also needs your help. So you notice I've not overstated it, but I respectfully would like you to draw your attention to the QR code to find out, first of all, find out what Lutheran Community Care Services is doing here in Singapore, and of course for all our friends in the international community, wherever you are, find out what's happening in your own city, in your own state, in your own country, and perhaps even start a collaboration. It's like, wow, if you're doing this here, can we replicate this in where I am? And your contribution, no matter how big or small it is, will go a long way to sustaining these projects, these circles, the fellowships, and the reintegration and the rehabilitation programs, because there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, financial support is integral. And of course, we need more young people to step forward and take up professional careers in counseling and social work. They are the unsung heroes. We began on a very emotional point because it took a lot of courage for people to come on stage, and it started actually from the very first session. The Men Heard Too, it's all online, and we worked through the workplace culture and communal safe net with teenagers and children, and we sort of close this conversation on the rekindling of relationships, but it by no means ends here. I always say this in the REALink series, the journey continues. It's been an honor and a privilege to share the stage with all three of you and all of you here physically and online as well. Thank you so much for staying with us on the REALink Conversation series. Over to you, Nigel.
Thank you, Augustine, Jason, Jensen, and Karen. I think for this very pleasant discussion that we have. Thank you for surfacing the challenges, needs, and strengths of people affected by incarceration. I think what hit me from the entire conversation is the idea of the importance of relationship, and healing begins where they are. And it all starts from even when in the prisons itself. And this includes healing not just for the inmates, but healing for families. And I think that's something that resonated with me. And I believe that as we continue to embark on this journey, to continue to work with every single one of them, we are hopeful that we will see many of them be able to come back into the community and together with us. As our team, ordinary people doing extraordinary, suggest each of us can play a part to support individuals and families affected by incarceration. So thank you again for making time to attend our event. Okay, goodbye to all who have joined us online. And for all of us who are here, please enjoy the refreshments that's been prepared. There's lots of it. Feel free to take as much as you want and fill your tummies as much as you have filled your minds today. So before we go to that, I would like to invite all of us to gather here to a stage area to have a group photo to commemorate our first hybrid REALink session. Thank you very much.